You are listening to Be Amplified, the podcast with Brie and Thais, episode number Sweet 16. Hey Amplifiers, welcome to Be Amplified, the podcast. My name is Thais.
And I'm Brie Seeley. We are the co-founders of the Amplify Collective,
a movement aimed at radically disrupting how purpose-driven women connect and operate in the world.
Because we believe it's not just what you do, but who you are that matters.
Each week, join us for messages and interviews that will leave you feeling amplified and ready to change the world.
Let's do this.
Oh, hey. Hey, ladies and gent. The one gentleman that probably listens to our podcast. We love you. We love you, gentlemen. Gentleman. So this podcast is going to be a little bit different. We have an incredible interview coming up with a good friend, Gwen, and she is...
And one of our coterie members.
Yes, she's one of our coterie members. If you don't know what the coterie is, you've been living under a rock. Go to our website. It's our membership group, and we're so excited and passionate about it. We have some really outstanding women in this group, and it's basically a group formed to support one another and create a real sense of community. And anyway, so Gwen is in our coterie, and she is fabulous, and I am so excited about what we are so excited about her interview later on. But first, we thought we would use this podcast episode to get to know us a little bit better. And so we're going to ask each other silly questions, and we're going to have a lot of fun, and hopefully we'll inspire you to be a little bit more silly and fun in your life, because it's not always serious.
We have a hard time remembering that sometimes. So
yes, we do.
This is a good reminder to bring the fun back in.
Yeah. Brie and I can get very serious very fast, and we're both, have a lot of inspirational shit to say, hence the podcast. But it's good. It's good to have a lighter theme and a lighter episode.
Yes.
So,
wait, can I start with a question?
Oh, yes, go. Start with a question.
Thais recently had her 1-year anniversary in LA.
Ooh.
And I want to know what your favorite LA tourist attraction experience has been.
Oh, that's a great question. Okay. I would say I'm a sucker for sunsets and for skylines. Like, those are the two things. Like, if you want to make your way into my heart, just take me somewhere where there's a beautiful view with a sunset, and I'm yours forever. And so...
Oh, is that how it happened, Thais?
That's how it happened.
Is that when you fell in love with me?
That's how did you know? So I would say one of my favorite LA touristy things is Griffith Park and the observatory. It's just such a cool space, and you get to see such a cool view of LA, especially on a beautiful day. And when there's not a lot of smog happening in the city, you get to really see far and wide. And I think that that's a really, really cool spot. Very touristy. I mean, you got to brave yourself for the crowds. But I think that's one of my favorite places to be in LA.
Awesome.
Does that answer your question?
It does. I have another question for you.
Okay.
Kind of along the same lines. Can I ask it?
Go.
What's the one LA tourist thing you haven't done yet that you want to do?
Well, everyone's obsessed with this rain room at the LACMA.
Oh, yeah. I keep seeing all the photos on Instagram.
I know. Well, we went to the one museum, the other museum-y thing, and we thought that it was there.
Which one?
The Broad?
The
Broad.
The Broad. It's pronounced Broad.
No way.
Yeah, I got very, very scolded and corrected. It's the Broad.
Okay, well, clearly we need to update the 17 million people that live in LA. It's the Broad. So when we went to the Broad, that's awkward to say. I wanted to go to the Rainbow Room. That's the only fucking reason I went to the stupid museum. It's not stupid. Room. Enjoy it. It's beautiful. But yeah, the Rain Room was not there. The Rain Room is in LACMA, which I guess is another museum. And I really want to go, simply because I want to take a picture and put it on Instagram.
Duh.
I mean, that's literally the only reason I do anything is
to make the world think you look cool.
I mean, right? Isn't that why you do anything? Just kidding, people. I'm a very spiritual I'm a very spiritual person. Do not judge me.
So my one tourist thing that I want to go do that I haven't gotten a chance to
You've been here for 3 years.
But partially because it just opened. Like, it just opened.
Okay, good excuse.
So I really want to go to Harry Potter Land.
Oh, yes. And Star Wars.
Yeah, I want to go to Star Wars Land, but I really want to go to Harry Potter Land.
Well, why don't we make that happen?
I know. I just keep telling myself, like, I don't really like rides, and it's Universal City, and there's people there, and I don't really
there
like
are people in a lot of places.
And just,
I don't really like people.
It costs a lot of money to get in. I don't know. I have all these excuses about why I can't go.
So you've lived in LA now for 3 years.
Yep.
What has been your most epic moment in LA?
So
like a very LA experience.
I think
like people would roll their eyes and be like, "Oh, you're so LA."
My favorite one, and this is hilarious because, like I said, I don't really like people, and I actually hate Hollywood. Like anyone that's like, "Oh,
we love you, Hollywood." Brie doesn't mean it.
They're like, "Will you take me to the Walk of Stars or whatever?" And I'm like, "You can just get an Uber." No, I'm not taking you. So I really hate that area. And Thais and Mark and I went to see Star Wars in December.
We did
at the Chinese theater,
which is pretty amazing.
I was like shitting myself. Yeah. I was having so much fun. I walked into the theater. Granted, I'd never been in the theater before. I'd only been outside. It's pretty beautiful inside. If you haven't been, you have to go. Walk in, and they had all the costumes from the movie. They had Rey's costume. They had an R2-D2. They had like all these things, and it was just so like. My like nerdy side was just blown away. And then you sit in the seats, and there's something about the history and the richness and the experience of the whole thing, and super old school. Like someone walks out on the stage and makes announcements like they used to make, and then the red curtain like pulls back, and it was just such an epic experience. It was like no movie theater experience I'd ever had.
Well, so. I'm glad that you shared that with us. Yeah, we had a good time, and it was the 3D, so that was really cool.
I like cried in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
I did too.
I was like, this is already so good.
So good.
I've been waiting so many years for this.
Yeah. We love Star Wars, hence why I named my dog Chewie. For Chewbacca. Although now we call him Choo Choo. We're obsessed with this dog. Okay, so I have a question for you.
Okay.
Marry, fuck, or kill. Are you ready?
Okay.
Who would you marry? Who would you fuck? And who would you kill?
I can't believe we're talking about this publicly.
Yes. All right, this is going to happen. So, marry, fuck, or kill. George Clooney, Matt Damon, or Harrison Ford?
All right. So I would marry George Clooney.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's a bachelor man, although he's now married to like a Nobel Peace Prize winner, so no competition there.
I would probably fuck Matt Damon, and
he is pretty.
I hate to say it, but Harrison Ford's getting old, and he like almost died while filming Star Wars.
I mean, but if you kill him, then no more Han Solo.
He's already said he's not going to be in any of the more movies because he almost died multiple times.
So literally, his only value in life was Han Solo, and now that he can't perform Han.
Well, I mean, his value 30 years ago was not just Han Solo. I probably could have married him 30 years ago, but if we're talking present day, I mean...
Okay, so out of all celebrities, like all of the male celebrities in the world, if you get to choose one to marry, who would it be?
Well, I always had a thing for Johnny Depp. Like,
He's a little creepy, though.
So I own all of his... I have seen every single movie he's been in. I own all of his movies. I went to the Tim Burton exhibit like years ago. Like, I know that he lives in the Eastern Building, which is 2 blocks away from my office. Like, I have very much been in love with Johnny Depp for a very long time. And the past few years, I feel like he's a little taken a turn for the worst. And I'm just like a little not very, you know, I don't know. So I'm just not really vibing with him anymore.
Could I marry Taylor Swift?
Well, that wasn't on my list for you, but...
She's just so epic. I literally know nothing about her except for how much money she makes and how catchy her songs are.
Oh, my God.
And I feel like that's enough for marriage, right?
Yeah, based on that, there's a much longer list than Taylor Swift. Maybe a man in there, maybe.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, it would be, yeah, maybe. All right.
Okay, now I have to remember my 3 because I had them, and then we started talking, and
about Taylor Swift.
You know how my memory is like a goldfish. Oh, look, a sign. Oh, look, a sign.
We saw Finding Dory a couple weeks ago, and we love Finding Nemo. And, we saw Finding Dory, and that just reminded me of it.
Yeah.
Do a squishy. You shall be mine, and you shall be my squishy. Oh, I love Dory.
We won't talk about that movie because I had a less than stellar review of it. All right, so I think my 3 were Christian Bale.
Ooh.
Shit, now I can't remember the other 2. Damn it.
Well,
I hate my memory.
You're gonna have to remember it.
I had 3 good ones. Okay. I got them. Okay. All right. Marry, fuck, or kill. Hugh Grant.
I love Hugh Grant.
Christian Bale. Leonardo DiCaprio.
These are so good. I would say, well, you know, I love Hugh Grant. I love all the movies he's been in with Julia Roberts. However, he was a little pervy. Little pervy, you know, the whole stripper situation. Not sure I'm into that. You know, I think I would fuck Christian Bale because he's just sexy. I would marry Leo, and sorry, Hugh, I'm gonna have to kill you off.
Really? You'd marry Leo?
Yeah, I think he just seems like a really decent guy. Like, he runs nonprofits.
He was a raging asshole. What was the award show that he totally, like, pushed Lady Gaga as she was going up to get her award?
Well, that's good. He's protective, which means he's gonna protect me. Is that a bad answer?
No, I'm not. I'm just asking questions. I'm totally not judging you at all.
Yeah, guys. Her face. Judgy face over here. Oh my goodness. All right, so here's a question, Brie. What is an experience that you've had in LA that you wish you could do again?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Like, if you had to do an experience again. We love LA, and that's why we're kind of focusing on LA this episode.
Well, and Gwen she has a blog that's called The LA Girl, where she goes and experiences all of LA.
You have to check her out. It's in the show notes. She's amazing.
Yeah, it's good. An experience I've had in LA that I would love to do again. I feel like there've been so many, like, some of the typical LA things, like the outdoor movies. Like, I love going to do that stuff in the summer.
Oh, yeah.
I've really been loving our beach days lately. Like, I've spent more time on the beach in the last 2 months than I have in the last 3 years.
Wow.
I mean, I just get burned so badly that I've always had the story of, like, well, I can't go because I've never had an umbrella. But now that I'm hanging out with people that have umbrellas, I get to go whenever I want. So yeah, I don't know. I think one day that I would love to live again in my LA experience was like my first day in LA.
Oh yeah.
And I used to have every day that I would drive into my office, I would have make a point of noticing something new every day.
Oh, that's cute.
And just like truly, truly falling in love with the city.
Okay, and here's a question, Brie. If you had to be kicked out of LA, out of all of Southern California, because you can't say San Diego, if you had to be kicked out of Southern California and you had, obviously, to move somewhere else, and it has to be in the U.S., because I don't want you to say Florence, where would you move to?
Well, I'm going to bend the rules a little bit. I would be a little nomadic because I love New York and I would love to live in New York.
You seem like I think you'd do well in New York.
But I will never do the winters again. Like, after 21 winters, I feel like I've graduated from
I like how you've counted how many winters based on your age.
And I like full-time moved when I was 21. I left home when I was 17, but left the Midwest when I was 21. And I could never do the winters. So, I mean, my ideal life right now would be to have the ability to live in Bali part of the year and live in LA part of the year and live in New York part of the year and have a place in Florence that I could live. And so that would be my ideal situation. Obviously not happening anytime soon because I have kitties and my girls don't really get to travel with me. But, you know, once I've already started thinking that when they pass, I'm gonna...
It's kind of sad.
It is sad because they're just... They are turning 10. They actually just turned 10 this summer. So they have like a good amount of life left. But yeah, I'm kind of ready for that nomadic life
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love living in LA. It's been a little over a year now that I've been here, and I feel like if you can make it in LA, well, if you can make it in New York and LA, if you can make it in either of these two cities, you're pretty much set because it can be pretty tough.
So what's been, aside from the networking thing, because obviously that's what our movement's based on, what has been the hardest part of adjusting to LA for you?
I would say not like having to drive everywhere. I come from a town where we also had to drive everywhere, but I always loved the idea. I come from a small town, and we had to drive everywhere there too. But I've always loved the idea of living somewhere where I could just walk everywhere, and I could know my neighborhood, and I could know the people that sell meat down the street, and I can bike everywhere, and I can walk, and that community feel that is one of the reasons why I've always wanted to move to New York City, and it kind of never happened, obviously, which I'm okay with now because I do love LA so much. But yeah, I loved in New York, you take a subway everywhere. There's no shame in taking public transportation. Here in LA, I feel like there's this connotation, this underlying stereotype that if you take public transportation here, it's because you're not well off. Because if you're well off, you could have your own car, and if you're really well off, you have a driver. And in New York, everyone's taking trains and taking the taxi and Uber, but it's just they walk, and it just seems like such an active town. So that's the only thing that I feel a little difficult about LA, besides, the community aspect, and finding your community is not really being able to walk places, which is also why we're excited at the possibility of, moving to Santa Monica or something like that, because Santa Monica at least does have that community thing. But we'll see what happens.
Disapprove.
Bree she's a East Sider. She loves downtown, and I love being near the beach. So,
although I have to tell you.
What? Oh. What?
So I've been manifesting like a new living situation for over the last year, and saw a place a few weeks ago, actually on my way home from driving back from your place, that I kind of love. And
where is it?
It's off of, I think, is it Olympic or Wilshire and Rimpo?
Okay.
So it's kind of like more mid-city area near LACMA.
Okay.
So calling on it just to kind of check in and see, and who knows, maybe I'll end up in downtown, maybe I won't.
Look at you being open to possibilities.
Yeah, right.
All right, so let's do one final game before we wrap it up and bring Gwen on. Never have I ever. We're gonna do this.
It's gonna be pretty boring.
We'll do this.
Okay.
Never have I ever.
Wait, how are we doing this? Because I always played this in college, where you'd sit in like a big circle and say never have I ever, and then anyone that had done it drinks. So how are we doing this?
I don't know. We just raise our hands.
Well,
we'll just say I have not done that.
We clearly had a very, very strong plan in place for this episode.
We love it, though. I mean, this is so fun. I feel like you guys are with us, and we're sitting around, and we're just having wine and just, giggling. Sometimes, I don't know, I feel like I wish we did more of that in the world and less of the whole let's get on our pedestals, even though I love my pedestal.
Yeah, you do.
My soapbox. Why is it called a soapbox? What about soaping and boxing come together?
I don't know, maybe it's some old thing where like they would empty out boxes of soap and like crates of soap and flip them upside down and hop on top of them.
Okay, yeah, that sounds very logical.
Sounds like it makes sense. We'll have to like Google it later. And
okay.
Here, I can Google it while you're figuring out how we're
gonna never have I ever?
Yep.
Well, never have I ever. I feel like I've done pretty much everything there is to do in life.
Well, what's the one thing that you meant to do this year and didn't?
Never have I ever. I don't even know. I don't. Never have I ever skinny dipped in the ocean.
Yeah, you were gonna do that for your birthday this year.
I was, and I just ultimately felt kind of uncomfortable doing it in public at nighttime in the dark. I don't know, something about it felt off. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna probably next birthday we're gonna rent a house by the beach and we're going to do skinny dipping there. But yeah, I've skinny dipped in pools, but I've never skinny dipped in the ocean. And there's something that feels really wild and exciting about it. Like, kind of dangerous, but not dangerous. And yeah, I'm assuming you haven't either.
I am not a fan of the ocean.
Yeah.
When we hang out at the beach, I'm very much the one that just sits under the umbrella the entire time. I don't.
So what did you find about the soapbox?
Okay, so a soapbox is a raised platform on which one stands to make an impromptu speech, often about a political subject. The term originates from the days when speakers would elevate themselves by standing on a wooden crate, originally used for a shipment of soap or other dry goods from a manufacturer.
Wow, you were literally right. You were literally on point about it. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I consider myself to be fairly astute.
Clearly. All right, enough of these shenanigans. Let's bring on our guest, Gwen.
Let's do it.
You guys are going to love her. She's pretty epic. We are so excited for this interview. So
Gwen,
let's bring her on.
Founder of the LA Girl. She's a marketing professional with a passion for editorial content, living a healthy lifestyle, and inspiring other women. She's an LA native and a self-proclaimed Los Angeles ambassador.
I love that.
When she's not at her day job at AwesomenessTV or working on the LA Girl, she enjoys doing yoga, hiking mountains, traveling the world, and spending time with her fiance Luke and their dog Pucci.
Oh my goodness.
Hi, Gwen.
Hi, guys.
How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for being here. We're going to get started as we always do, asking you, what does it look like for you to live an amplified life?
Well, for me, to live an amplified life means to live a life of balance, passion, and purpose. And what I mean by that is balancing work, relationships, if you have a pet in your family. And by passion, it means doing what you love and being true to yourself. And of course, purpose. For me, that means helping others and finding out what you're meant to do.
I think that sounds pretty awesome. Tell us more about passion. I feel like that's a topic we haven't quite explored yet. What does passion mean to you?
Well, passion for me means like something that you would do even if you weren't getting paid for it. And to me, I've started writing at a young age, and it's something that I'm really passionate about. And so when I started the LA Girl, I wanted to share with other people, like adventures in LA, my passion for the city, because I grew up here. I kind of know the ins and outs. And it just came as like a natural topic for me to discuss, things to do and what I love about my hometown, Los Angeles.
I love it. What would you say to someone who is having kind of a harder time finding something to be passionate about? What would you recommend for them?
I think that passion kind of comes naturally, whether like you think about what you're going to study at school or what you want to do for work. I always try to take the money situation out of it and kind of be like, okay, if you didn't have bills to pay, if you had $1 million in the bank, what would you do? And I had this conversation with this lady just this past weekend. She asked me, what would you do if you had no responsibilities or no restraints? And I found myself saying that I would be doing exactly what I'm doing now. And I feel like once you can say that, you're truly living and doing your passion.
So I am mildly obsessed with LA, to say the least. I'm not an LA lifer. I've only been here 3 years. But what is the best kept secret of LA that you just love sharing with people?
That's a real hard one. What I say about LA is the best kept secret is LA is not one entity. We're like made up of tiny little cities, or what we call neighborhoods, and each one has its own kind of style and spirit. And you can go to one place and it feels like completely different from another place. Echo Park in Silver Lake is different from downtown. And if you go to the west side, it's Santa Monica is different from the South Bay areas. And you can kind of find your home where you fit in. And some people work in a different place, and then they live in a different place. And you can find, a suburban home style, like kind of close-knit neighborhood, or you can find a place where it's more like vast and there's tourists all around, something like Venice Beach. And yeah, that's something that I always tell people who are new here, and some people who love to want to visit.
So which neighborhoods have you lived in, or which neighborhood are you from? Where do you currently live?
Sure. I grew up in the Echo Park area. It's a little different from where it is now. I've lived in that area. I really like it because it's very artsy. There's lots of dog lovers and lots of vegan food restaurants to eat at. Yes, but I've lived in downtown because I've worked there, and that's like a bustling city. There's always something going on. It's great to like work in the middle of the city and live there as well. And then now I live in West LA, and it's a totally different neighborhood. My best advice is live where you work so you don't spend an hour or 2 hours, if you can, commuting every day.
That's so funny. So I live in Westwood. And
yes.
Bree lives in Echo Park, Silver Lake, yeah. So that's so funny that you kind of embody both of us.
I'm definitely an East Side girl. Ever since I moved here, I've been in the same place for 3 years since I lived here, and I've always been an East Side girl. I don't know what it is about that side of the city, but man, I just love it.
Yeah, it's good.
I do love the East Side. I do miss it.
All right, so let's move into the LA girl, because I feel like that is probably something you're so in love with. And I'm curious, how did the concept even start, and how did you decide to say yes to it?
Well, when I was thinking about starting my own blog, this was about 1.5 years ago. I was working in marketing and advertising, and I was like, what do I want to write about? Like, I want to start my own brand. I want to start my own blog and write about things. And I was like, what do I know most about? And I actually know LA very well. And I think that I admire the city itself and like the spirit and the energy that goes along with the people here. And so I decided to write about that. And one question that I think I read somewhere, I'm not exactly sure, was if you start a blog, can you write something every day about it? And if you can't, that's probably not the right thing for you. And so I thought about it. Can I write 365 articles on Los Angeles? And I can.
What are your favorite kind of articles to cover about Los Angeles for the blog?
Well, my blog, The LA Girl, focuses on mostly food, fashion, and fitness. And so I love the food because I get to go to different restaurants and try different things. So that's always fun. I'm doing a lot of fitness articles right now, and a lot of people love to do hiking, and there's a lot of fitness studios and workouts. There's endless amounts of those in LA. So trying those out is really fun. And then fashion is really great because there's so many brands that actually come from LA. And I think it's really fun to figure out like what stems from the city and what was made here, and just discovering new things about the city in general.
I love it. And what would you say being a blogger is your biggest challenge?
Definitely the biggest challenge about being a blogger is the balance. I do work a full-time job, and I started it as a side business, but I've found that it is now a full-time job. So I work 2 full-time jobs.
Yeah, we know something about that.
I'm sure you guys do. And as you know, like running different businesses, it's hard to kind of balance the time commitment because you want both to succeed. And I'm very devoted, and I actually love my day job. And for some people, it's not hard. They really want to get to the point where they monetize their side business enough so they can quit their full-time job. But in this case, it's actually a very unique and rare situation where my day job is very flexible, and my boss is actually a great mentor and is an entrepreneur himself. So he knows what it's like to kind of balance both and try to do both at the same time. And so it's challenging to be at my best for both.
Oh, I totally feel that.
Yeah. So what is your like secret for success? What's your secret sauce that helps you keep both kind of in check?
I think that you have to always think of the physical and the mental parts of it. For example, like I always make sure that every day I put in fitness because that kind of just helps your energy level and like kind of your attitude. It makes you more positive. So when you're working long hours like me, I work every day. I work pretty much from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, and I work on weekends as well. I just try to make sure that I schedule out my time to have time for physical fitness. And then also the mental aspect of it. I just want to make sure that I don't receive burnout. And there have time for meditation and kind of like relaxation, because if I've gone through times where I'm just working, and then I just burn myself out, and that's when you can't do any work at all.
I feel like burnout is a very common conversation, especially women who are passionate about what they do. It seems very easy for us to just keep going and keep going, and we love it, right? Until we don't anymore. And so I love that you're bringing this up, because I feel like many people that are listening have experienced burnout in the past or currently are in that phase where they're like completely fucking burnt out.
Yes, I totally agree. And it's not even just for women. I feel like we're naturally nurturing. Like, I need to also make sure I'm cooking dinner tonight. So I cook dinner mostly every night, and that's just something that I schedule in.
Good for you.
And, you know,
I have not figured that one out yet.
You know, things like walking the dog. I don't have kids, but like I imagine having a family, it would be even more challenging. And that's something that I am anticipating, you know, in the next coming year. So I'm like, how do I juggle all of this?
Well, I love what you said earlier about scheduling a fitness time. When I'm coaching my clients and we're helping them find balance, I always recommend that they put into their calendar these non-negotiables. And these are times in the calendar where you commit to doing a certain thing, and no matter what comes up, you don't cancel on this. So sessions with a coach is a non-negotiable, you know, fitness, meditation. So I love that you bring that up, and I think that that's so valuable for you guys that are listening, to make sure that you're adding in to your calendar, like physically add it in. Even if it doesn't require you to leave the house, it can be so powerful, so that you're more focused and you don't have to question whether or not you're going to do it. So if you want to start cooking dinner for yourself every night, pencil it into your calendar. So Gwen, tell us, when it comes to this non-negotiable, when it comes to scheduling fitness time and walking the puppy time, how do you make sure that you stay really committed to that and not letting other things get in the way?
Well, when scheduling things out that are non-negotiable, I definitely rely on my calendar. And I think that part of being a successful entrepreneur is meticulously sticking to your calendar. Mm-hmm. I schedule every little thing. I schedule time for breaks. I schedule hikes every Saturday. And I feel like when I know I structure my time, I maximize it. And I think that that's like the best way for me to stay in my routine and make sure that I get everything done.
So do you use a hard calendar or do you use a digital calendar?
I use a digital calendar.
Yeah, you're completely digital. So I use both, actually.
Oh.
There's something so insanely satisfying for me about crossing something off of my piece of paper that I like have to still have the old school calendar.
I'll even write something just to cross it off.
I have done that before, where at the end of the day I write my to-do list and then I just get to cross everything off. So satisfying to me. So how did you used to use a paper calendar? Like, how do you do with the digital calendar?
I pretty much like do time slots and I just write in everything. I kind of like the digital because you can share it with everyone, so that if you have a team, they can kind of see what you're doing as well. And they can see when they can schedule time in. But I do write manually in a notebook. I write notes and I do journal every day. So that's something that I like to do still. That's a little more old school.
I love it. So I know that you're fianced. You are with your fiance. So how does that work with balancing, you know, your two businesses, your career and your business, as well as time with him? How do you manage that?
Well, we're both workaholics. So we get home and we spend time together. But during the nighttime, we do work, and we have pretty much back-to-back desks. So we work on each other. We work together at the same time. He's in software development, so he helps me out on my blog sometimes. And then we do have a couple projects that we work on together. And so those are separate businesses that we are actually developing as well.
Oh my goodness. Another. That's amazing. So tell us about it. What is it like to work with your fiance?
It can be challenging. I think my best advice is to figure out who's the boss.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
There's no arguments on who's the boss.
Are you the boss?
Of course. I'm the boss. Yeah, and then we use tools. So we use like Basecamp and Trello because apparently a verbal to-do list still does not work when you are you are working together.
It's so funny because Thais and I talk a lot about how essentially our business partnership is the same as that, being in partnership with a significant other or whatever. And as you're talking, I'm like, yep, we have a shared calendar. Yep, we use a project management like system to keep us in check with our to-do lists. And it's really interesting when you throw a partner in the mix in terms of making sure that things are getting done or that you're both on the same page. So what do you guys have like something that you implement in terms of keeping open communication or making sure that you're on the same page? Do you have check-in meetings or anything like that?
We do. We try to do check-in meetings during like our coffee time or on the weekends. And then I do have to constantly do like a chat and be like, hey, did you do this yet? Did you do this yet?
And do those things seem to work for you guys? Are they...
Yes, it does for the most part. Again, like this, some stuff that we're like still working on, so it's not like a ultimate priority right now. But yeah, we are on our way.
I love it, and I think it's so cool that you can be in business with your partner because I know how being with your partner is great, and then having like a project that you guys can do together can really help the relationship just get closer and you bond and you have a common conversation. So I feel like that's really cool that you're exemplifying that for the world.
Yeah, it's great.
So tell us more now about your full-time job. So what does that look like for you?
Sure. So AwesomenessTV is a really cool company. It's a new media company owned by DreamWorks, Verizon, and Hearst. And what I do over there is I manage the community side. So we have a fan community and a creator community because we started as a YouTube production company. And we help creators who are growing their YouTube channels. And in addition, I manage AwesomenessTV.com that just launched last week. And so I do pretty much editorial content for Gen Z, which is 12 to 24. And we're creating like an editorial site with lifestyle, fashion, beauty, and all our video content on it.
Interesting. I feel like Gen Z is something that I haven't even begun to like conceptualize or wrap my mind around. Thais and I deal with mainly millennials with the Amplify Collective. But so what is the deal with Gen Z?
So we call Gen Z the most influential generation. It's because they are the generation that's like on their phones. They're Snapchatting 24/7. They keep up with the news and things through Twitter. And so when they tweet something out, there's some sort of power into it. And so we're seeing that the behavior of Gen Z from millennials is starting to change. Everything is done through phone, like payments are done through Apple Pay, wherein, me as a millennial growing up, I didn't have a phone until, in my late teens. Yep. So we're seeing that the buying behavior is different. The advertising is different. Like they don't watch TV anymore. They watch YouTube. They watch everything on social. And so brands are trying to figure out how to tap into this generation. And at work, my company, that's what we specialize in, is understanding who they are. And so for me, working there, I have to put on my 14-year-old hat on and try to figure out what my squad is doing.
Oh my gosh, no, I need to hear more. Tell me more lingos that they use, please.
There's Bay, there's squad, there's goals. That outfit is goals, means like, that's really? The outfit you want to buy.
Oh my gosh. What else? I love this.
There's so much, you guys. It's insane.
It's so funny because I'm used to the millennial generation is the most talked about generation. We've defined things, and so it's so funny to get to the age, I'm getting old, where it's no longer about us. It's about the younger generation, and it's about them coming into the world. And they're not quite, I think, in the workforce in a big way yet, but give them like 5 years and they're going to be dominating the workforce. That's terrifying.
Yeah, and what's funny is that their jobs are jobs that did not exist 5 years ago. These are YouTube influencers. They call them influencers because they have 7 million followers on YouTube. They have like 20 million, on their combined social channels, whether it's Instagram or Twitter or Facebook, and brands are paying them lots and lots of money to reach this audience.
Yeah, I was just reading a study, though, that they have a feeling that the influencer market is actually getting ready to collapse. So it'll be really interesting to see what happens with all of that, because the tides have shifted so much that brands aren't willing to pay the amount of money that they're wanting for. There was this one brand, they used to pay like $2,500, and now the same YouTubers are wanting like $10,000 and not allowing the brands access to use their material that they put out with the product. So it'll be really interesting to kind of see what flows out of the influencer marketplace.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're seeing the exact opposite. We're seeing more and more brands want to do that because, like I said, like less and less people are watching TV. Mm-hmm. And so like instead of spending like a money on a 60 or 30-second spot on a commercial, they want to reach this person's audience. And it's kind of like the new word of mouth. So it's like if someone's going to do a beauty tutorial on a product, they would rather see it like, done by their favorite YouTuber than like on a commercial, a TV commercial. Yeah. So I'm really interested to see what happens on that too, but we are seeing an exponential growth in that in the market.
That's just fascinating. And I think generational gaps and issues are always going to happen, I mean, the Gen Xers, the way they look at us versus how we're going to look at Gen Zs. And it's just so fascinating how different generations get so tied to certain issues together.
Yeah, and in my case, it's like I work with, millennials on my blog, and I work with Gen Zs who vlog, and people always consistently ask me, like, why are you not vlogging? And I'm like, I don't like
I just love the word vlog. I'm sorry. Just the word vlog. Anyway, keep going.
I know, and I'm like, no, I'm a little more traditional.
Yeah. And, I think, too, video, it requires a certain type of personality, not a certain type of personality. Anyone can do it, but I think the successful ones are people that really love to be on video, and that's not everyone. And I think that's totally okay. That's so cool, Gwen. Thank you so much for sharing all of your Gen Z knowledge. I feel like we went on a little tangent, but I'm just so fascinated to see what the younger kids are coming up with. Squad goals.
Yeah. We joke. There was something, Fleek is one that we...
Oh, yeah.
Yes, on fleek.
My mom posted something on Facebook the other day that said on point, and I was like, my sister wrote that for you, didn't she? And my mom was like, no, I wrote that. And I was like, how is my mom writing things like on point? And then my mom and I had the whole conversation about fleek. And what is fleek? And
I was trying to be cool with our intern, and because she was wearing something cute, and I go, oh, you're fleek. And then she looks at me like I'm an idiot, and she goes, it's on fleek. And I go, oh my God, now I feel like my dad, And when your dad tries to be cool and then you're like, get so embarrassed because he's not being cool, like that's what we're becoming. I love it.
The plight of the millennials now, apparently.
Apparently.
So funny. So, what is next for you, Gwen?
Well, immediately, I'm actually going to your event tomorrow night.
Woohoo! Yay!
And I'm actually really excited to go. And I follow you guys on Facebook, and I read a lot of your materials, and I kind of really relate to that issue that you guys were talking about women entrepreneurs like me who feel like kind of isolated and lonely sometimes because we're so busy working on our business that we don't get to connect with other women. And that's why I'm so excited to go tomorrow, and it's on my calendar. It is blocked off and non-negotiable.
Yay, we're so excited to have you.
And I'm really excited to, spend some time talking to other women, not just about what I do. So yeah,
they're usually really powerful events, and I'm excited. We'll have a few newbies with us tomorrow night, so it should be a pretty powerful night.
Yeah. So tell us, Gwen, where can people contact you if they're interested in learning more about the LA girl?
So my blog is at thelagirl.com, and you can also find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook.
I highly recommend her Instagram feed. Aside from the fact that I'm obsessed with Instagram, Gwen's feed is beautiful.
Oh, I'm sure it is. I can only imagine.
I love seeing the trips that you take. And I feel like there was a trip you took, maybe it was last summer, into like Utah area or something, and you were everywhere you went, you were posting a new yoga pose.
Yes, it's like my thing. I do yoga and hiking. So whenever we go hiking, I do some poses, and my fiance is my photographer. And actually this weekend we are climbing Mount Rainier in Washington.
No way. I used to live there.
Yes, that's where we are climbing this coming weekend.
I never, for as long as I lived there, I never actually went to Mount Rainier. Like, I lived there for 7 years. I feel like it's a little inappropriate for me to not have been there. It's a beautiful mountain. I used to look at it every day, but I've never been there. So that's exciting. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah.
I joke that Mark is, have you seen the video, Gwen, about the Instagram husbands?
And yes, I have.
Oh my gosh. So Mark is my partner. We're not married yet, but it's just so funny. When I saw that video, I immediately showed it to him. I go, see, that's you. See, you're not alone.
We need to make a support group for Instagram husbands.
Yes, we do.
I always thank him in my photography, in my Instagram feed. I said, thanks to my Instagram husband for capturing this amazing pose.
Oh, amazing. I'm sure he loves
Credit.
it.
That's cute. We have not credited Mark yet, but maybe we should start. He's done almost
the
all
Amplify
of our,
husband.
The Amplify husband. He's done almost all of our photography since we started in August, so...
Yeah, well, I think that when you're starting out and you don't have a photographer, you just either rely on whoever's with you. Like it used to be my mom, and then sometimes it's a friend, and sometimes it's a stranger. You just got to do what you got to do.
Gotta do what you got to do. I love it.
Totally.
All right, Gwen. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And as usual, you can find us on Twitter, Snapchat, and Instagram at The Amplify Co. And you can also visit our website for theamplifycollective.com to learn about the event that Gwen mentioned. And we have a lot of really fun, exciting upcoming events. So you can tune in at theamplifycollective.com. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.